Assalamu alaikum. So this is lecture number 5. Uh, so let's start with lecture number 5. So in class what we did was previously we made the layout and did some gridding and understood the usage of different ways of positioning elements. So continuing from that, what we are going to do is do this hamburger layout, okay, to understand how CSS works. And then we will start to work on pseudo classes as well, like active, over, and child, etc. etc. So the first thing what we are going to do is remove these other elements, okay, by shifting them down so that our focus is only on the lecture 5 stars, that is hamburger. So we know that a burger contains three lines, like two are the buns and one is patty. Okay, so what I'm going to assume is that all of them are patties. So burger dash patty will be the name of the class, and we are going to use three of these. Center one is like the actual, we can say this is actual patty, and this one is burger bun. Why I'm using the class burger patty for even the buns is because in computer world, and especially in web design world, there is not much difference because we are going to use as three lines, something like this. um, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so it will look something like this. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is go to the nav hamburger area, because burger patty is the child of hamburger. So dot burger dash patty with height of 10 px, width of 100%. 100% will be the width of the parent, that is 50 px. Okay, so after doing that, let's give it a background color, black. Since we are making the burger here, so we don't need this white background in this area. Okay, so let me add one thing here. So removing this, now refresh. So actually there are three burgers. Why you are not looking, actually noticing anything here? It looks like as if there is only one block. Is because actually, let me show you why. Because let's say this is one block of the burger, and if I copy and paste it like this, and then paste another one like this, and give it a background black, you will think this is a single block. What actually is happening here is that there are three patties but with no margin. Okay, so I'm gonna give it a margin top 5%. Sorry, 5 px. So the problem is that now upper one is also given extra margin at top. If you hover and inspect it, you will see that there is some margin. You can notice the yellow highlight color over the black one. So we are going to use a pseudo class. Basically, pseudo class is like inheriting additional features inside a normal CSS class. So burger, patty, and child. First one will have no margin top, and so we will see is that when I refresh this, now this is its actual position, and there is no margin for the top one, only for the second and bottom one. Okay, so what's happening here is that nChild works like a programming loop condition where there are nth number of items. So we can say here that there are three items named burger patty. nChild just gives the reference of the which index one you wanna call. Let's say index 1 means the first one, index 2 will be like this, and 3 will be like this. There is also extended version, that is, if we write even, then if there are 100 patties like rows, it will give the eventh number margin top of 0, and same is for the odd. But you can also write as in data structure algorithm 2n for even and 2n plus 1 for odd number. That is up to you. Right now this was like that. Yeah. So if you want to access all three, what you do is just write 2 and 3. I'm not doing this because I don't have to, but just to give a demonstration, let's say background red, blue, and yellow. So when I refresh it, you can see here each burger patty is given a different class. It's not like the normal one where you just write burger patty and no a child, and it just gives color red to everyone like this. See, there is nothing you can do about it. And well, so anyway, we only had to do was give the margin 0 to the top one. So basic hamburger design has been made successfully. Now give it some border radius so that we don't have the pointy edges. If you write 50%, it will be like circle, but we don't want circle. That looks very cheap and not a very standardized way. If I write 5px or 4px, let's say 4px, it will just give a normal 4px round. It actually works like something like this. Let's say this is your square, okay, and let's say we are drawing a circle, something like this, okay. So this area of radius 4px, okay. So it knows that to get the actual round figure like this one, it simply does is this: copy this one, let's say, okay, and rotate it 180, like something like this. So the new shape of the square will be something like this. This area has been gone, okay. So now this will be the actual rounded corner here. I hope this is very much clear, okay. So let's continue with the next phase. Okay, so this is how our burger is created. It's giving 30-30. Oh, sorry, 4px. You can say whatever you want, but it's actually a round corner. And instead of 60, let's give it a wider hamburger. Now it looks better, and I'm giving it a extra margin, so it comes in the center. You can do the same with the logo so that you are not confused why logo is one, and okay, that's better. So the next task is to convert it into an X. So for that we need to use hover effect. So at a mouse hover, it simply just gives it a new background. So for first we are going to uh, test if hover effect is working. Okay, it's working, but you can see here that when I'm hovering it through burger patty class, like here burger patty colon hover, it won't work. This is also a pseudo class basically. Just like in child, you can see there is also a colon, so this is a pseudo class. What we want to do is that whenever I hover at burger, no matter this one, it gives me a complete X, okay. So instead of burger patty, I'm gonna write nav hamburger and over. Now, no matter where I type, it will give me the effect of whole shape, okay. I don't think we need height anymore in nav hamburger. See, now it's perfect. We gave it a deliberate height of 50px. It's giving it a very extra space. We don't want that. So let's remove 60px height in the total burger area, this one, where green highlighted. Okay, so we know that the nav burger is working, but on hover, we don't want the background color to be changed here. We want these bars to be converted into X. So the first thing what we are going to do is burger patty and child first one. Same thing will go for the second and third one. Sorry. So now we have our effect for everyone. We know that we don't want three bars for the X to be drawn, so we will hide one. I will hide the bottom one to opacity 0 to give it a fade in fade out effect. Okay. Um, so let's give it a transition. No, not now. Let's do it later. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is transform rotate 45 degree. For the first one and 45 degree and negative for the second one. Let me give you an example why this is happening. Okay, let me write this radius of for I can write nodes for this too. So let's do it something like this, green, and this one is a yellow border radius, or give it a orange. Okay, I understood why this is happening. Okay, so this is how it was working, and I can write border radius for px for rounded corner. So this will be like not for you. So let's go with the why I gave one negative 45 degree and another one 45 degree, and I did I just hid one out. Okay, so the dotted one is hidden one. So let me write hidden one here. Okay, so think as if this is hidden one. Okay, okay, leave it that way. Um, so the second thing we are going to do is use two of these bars. So now you will only be left with these two. Okay, so this is the normal area. You can say the first iteration. The second iteration will focus on these two bars only. What happens here is that now you are creating um, something like this for the second iteration. Before I do that, let me delete these. I shouldn't have written this. So something. Okay, so this one's like the green one. Oh, sorry, green one, and other one is like blue one. So the green one is like 45 degree, and the blue one is like minus 45 degree. Okay, so it will be uh, negative x like this. So when I put mouse over, the last one goes you can say transparent, and the first and second goes positive and negative 45-degree rotation. So when I do that here in brackets, 45 degree. Let's refresh it, check it. You can see the X is working, but there is issue of very deformed X version here. Okay, so let's continue later. Okay, so coming back, so this is a deformed X. This is basically happening because of this. The height of this bar is 10 px. Okay, so 10 px, 10 px, 10 px. Okay, there is margin of 5 px margin. So I'm gonna write here like this, copy it. This is margin 5 px. Okay, so when you rotate them, let me do one thing else. Okay, so like this. Okay, so when you rotate these, what happens is that there is margin and there is issue of height. Okay, so it could be something like this, like this. Okay, so because there is some margin, so when you rotate them, they are not in the same normal origin. For the green one, the blue one has its own origin. See here, its origin is somewhere here. Yeah, its origin is somewhere here. So when this one go, the green one, let me something like the green one rotates here, the blue one rotates something like this. Okay, we don't want that, so we have to remove this margin or do something about it. So I'm gonna take this bottom one, bottom means the middle one, and give it a margin top of 0. You will see some effect, not entirely correct, but something like something is better than before. But we don't want just the margin 0. So when you do margin 0, just this margin is gone. We don't want that. We want this to be shifted 5 px, and then you can say 10 px more, and then 5 px again to get it to 20 px. How? Let me repeat. 10 is for its own height. The blue one has 10 px height. When you do 5 px, it just shifted here. And then when you do 10 pixels, what it does is simply shift here and then 5 pixels. Okay. So when you write margin top minus 20 pixels, maybe 15, let's see. Okay, so 20 is too much. So the total was minus 15, including plus 5. Not again, check again, 10 pixels. So how does this work? Let me show you. We removed the margin top 5 pixels and then 10 pixels. It depends on all the mathematical calculation you did for the width and height for this burger patty. Since it's 10 pixels, so only minus 10 pixels. Okay. So when you did that, now you have a successful X here. Okay. It feels like it's shifting, but shifting upwards, but it's not. It simply is rotating. You see, if I just let me show you a small demonstration by adding transition, which will we do in lecture number 7, which is future basically. Okay, and let's not give this one anything at all for now. So when you refresh this, you can see the first one is moving upwards because of the rotation, so it gives you the illusion as if the whole navbar is shifting upwards. So you can see here, see, it feels as if, but if you look closely, the wherever when I put the mouse pointer at middle, it does not move upwards because my mouse pointer is still at that middle button. See, it's at the same horizontal row. Okay, so I hope this effect is very much clear to you guys. And let's do the second thing, that is On the hover of nav hamburger, let's bring the menu from right to left. Okay. I was checking it, so I put it at margin right at 100 VH. Let's put it back to this area. Let's say this is. I think I have the notes for that, so let's open those. User interface, lectures, lecture notes. Somewhere here. Okay, this one. See this gray one here. It's outside the monitor screen. This is minus 100 VW. That is discussed to death in class, so let's not go back to it. So I'm simply going to do is just call this nav and margin right to 0 so that the minus 100 VW effect is nullified and it comes forth and in front of the screen. Okay, but this will give you issue. Why? Because I'm gonna show you. You see there is no effect at all. See, you don't see a menu because this nav space bar here is show I have given space to all of these classes. After the pseudo class there is some space. This is called combinator. Okay, so space is a combinator. Okay, this is like a note and comments for you guys. And there is another one I'm gonna tell you. The space combinator is for children. Children is itself a plural. So when I say nav hamburger space, it assumes the DOM assumes it means the child elements. So these are all the child elements. But nav is not a child element. It's like even generated even before the hamburger. So there is another combinator called plus, which is plus means next neighbor and not child. Okay, first next neighbor. Okay, not other all of these, just first. So when I write nav down, now it's a number of hamburger. We don't need at the upside. Why? If you have a question that putting it at the bottom of the hamburger will affect the design, it will not, because our navigation was using absolute, okay, or fixed, because fixed and absolute basically change the origin of the HTML element. So when I do this plus nav, now it will detect it. As first it was not detecting, but as I refresh it, now the menu will pop out. Okay. Okay. Now hover is not always needed when you want to change the mouse pointer. Like when I put at X, it should be a hand sign. You don't need to hover effect for it. That you simply just write in the normal burger patty, sorry, hamburger class. My bad. This one cursor pointer. You will see that even though it's not in the hover effect, it will work. See, it's working now. You have a hand pointer here. So that was how crossing of hamburger works. Now let's do something else. The next thing was, uh, I hope you have pseudo classes. You get the idea of the and picture of the pseudo classes. This colon is pseudo class, and then combinators. Okay. So let's work with some other pseudo classes. Okay. Let's instead of use a hover, let's use active. Okay. When I use active, now the normal will not work. Active simply means that click and hold. Until I keep clicking, holding the click, the menu will show like this. As soon as I leave the mouse click button, it will close. Mouse click, hold, leave. Mouse click, hold, leave. This is how it will work. Okay. So this is how the active pseudo class works. The other one is um, focus, but it's not for this one, that is for input. So when you write W3 school, input, sorry, pseudo classes. So these are hundreds of, I don't know, not hundreds of basically, to have these, all of these, right? Only child and child link. So this is all you have to, experiment yourself. So kindly use them. There are some examples, like for example, target. Now the target can work with, let's say you have a hyperlink with hash. If you type the target, it will give you effect of target. You can check it like something like this. Let's say now it will target this one. So what happens is that when you jump to new content, it simply, let's say there are thousands of different lines over here. When you click on jump to new content as shown here, href hash news, it will directly shift you to that div. Even though it is at the bottom of the page, it will shift you directly to that. So you can say that the hyperlink does not work only for the external link. You can also redirect or auto scroll certain element to the certain element and change the state of the view. Okay. So then there is input invalid, in range, and hover. Let's try some of them. We are okay with that. Now let's say I'm creating a input type is equal to text, and let's give it a property disabled. This is called element property. Disabled means you cannot write anything in that text box. If you have a question that why do we even make this kind something like that, well, we make something like that is because sometimes when you say, let's say it's a gender. Now you know there are more than 199 genders in Europe, which is although uh, another topic. Let's not discuss that. And you are in Pakistan and you are filling some form and you are asked what is your gender, and there are only three options: male, female, and other. So you check there, click that checkbox other, then this text box will be editable and you will write you are, let's say, trans man, trans woman, whatever you want to do. Okay. So this disabled work like that. But as you can see, the by default the disabled does not, by looking at it shows that it's a disabled text box. What you can do is write input pseudo element disabled and write background Indian red, and let's say, let's see if content works here. Not required, although it won't, but let's see. Okay, so not required is not working, but okay. The thing is that some of these properties were, some of them not. Content was usually used by before and after element. Okay, so this is how disabled works. And if I write enabled, and sorry, let's say I copy this and write enabled, and when I remove this disabled check from here, now below for enabled, you will see that now it's editable. You can, this below is really bad, so let me just give it something else. See, now it's changed. You can also use this focus and write border 1 px solid green. Let's see, it's still white, so visit it, there are focus within. There are so many that you have to try that even sometimes I forget why I use focus within. So keep experimenting them. Okay. So inshallah you will get the idea how this works. Now the final thing we did in the class was um, before and after element. Okay. So let's say we are gonna have some fun with the hamburger. So if I write before and after, I write after. Okay, let's consider this as absolute top right, and let's give remove all of these absolute, but keep the after hidden for now, and background red just for now. I know red is a very cheap color, maybe for some not. Okay, let's say uh, 15 px, height also 15 px, and let's see how does it work. Okay, now let's say I give it a content. Now what will happen after this is something like that. Let's say let's make new one. It's already too messy here. uh, okay, so this area, the green one is like before area, and brown one is like after area, which means that after rendering of this hamburger and before rendering of this hamburger. So this is the area where you want something to be drawn, or after you want something to be drawn. Although they both will, after creating, let's say you made this 15 by 15 pixel, both of them will be located somewhere here, because the actual area of the hamburger is this, containing all these patties. So the before elements come here, and even the after one, then you have to set them to the left or right. That is up to you. But actual theology about this is that green will be area of before and brown will be area of after. So when I write this code before, there will be red box somewhere here. So let's see, and yes, it's somewhere here. It's the left top corner. This can be used for many things, that is up to you, but we are just creating an example. After, and then write 0 bottom 0. So what it will do is put the origin somewhere here. Okay, and let's give it a um, which I don't know, let's say sea green, and this one Indian red. I'm not very good in with memories. Okay, so it will look something like this. Let's give it a background color of the landing page to see how it looks. It does look good, not bad. It gives you like a logo design or something that you want for your library books staged in the vertical way. But as you say, as soon as you do the hover, you can see there is some issue here like this. It's like it's glittering. So for that, what you can do is give extra space to the hamburger. So I'm gonna give it some padding, like 5 px, and see how does it look. Okay, it's still doing. So let's give it extra height and see how it looks now. Okay, it does not look that bad. It resolves our issue, but then there is before after issue. So sometimes you have this idea of using before and after pseudo classes, but it does not work out well. So remember something, that whenever you do that, make sure design it that way that it is not more than this space area. What I'm trying to say is this. Let me give you a small demonstration. Just hamburger over, not these and child or anything. Right, background. Sorry, background. Right. See here, this area is actually the place where red is drawn. Okay, but this gives you a very bad effect for before and after. Although it looks good like this, but when you are using hover, the before or after property looks very bad. Okay, because even though if I hide them, where were they? Where were they? Yes, here. Okay, so let's copy them, put them here instead of before, right? Uh, Over and then extend it with before, like this, and just simply say display none, display none. Okay, so refresh. You can see how it looks after. See, but it still does look like a bad version of effects. Okay, so I found some mistakes. One thing that we did was wrong, and that was when I removed this height from here. Now, whenever I hover in margin top, the height of the hamburger also reduces as soon as I hide the bottom one, because even at opacity 0, but we are also doing margin top minus 10 px, it reduces the total height of the div. So let me give you the demonstration that whether it does or not. Okay, so let's say background red and remove this over. You can see this was the area, actually height of the hamburger, but soon as I do over, you can see the height is reduced. Now due to this, what happens is that when I put somewhere here, it gives me a very bad effect, something like this. Okay. See here, it's jittering or staggering or whatever you say in English. So if I give it the height, now no matter how much margin you put, okay, it will go perfectly, because your height is now not changing based on the margin property given to its child elements. Okay, let me give you a demonstration. Red, even though the margin is changed, your height is fixed. So it's not jittering or at all anything. Now it's perfect. So that's how you do with the hover effect. Make sure whenever you are doing hover effect, I removed height by mistake again. Okay, so whenever you do the hover effect, make sure that you do it properly. So let me hide few things here, here. Okay, so let's do this one back to. Okay, so these are three bars. So um let's say this is a hand that is going to hover. Okay, please don't judge me. Mm, let's say this is the, oh my god, just accept this one. First ones were better, I know. So let's say whenever I do the hover, it should not just be here, 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 or here. It should cover this whole yellow area. At least if it's an animation that changes its form in a vertical way, because X is made by changing its position in rotation attribute in up and down motion, up or down. When I do negative rotate, see here, you can see the bars are converted into X by converting them into a slope that is actually a vertical animation and it's not horizontal animation. So make sure that at least this area is the parent so that the hover effect works on this whole yellow area. Even if I put hand somewhere here, it should work. Okay, so always give it a height. Even if I write 100%, then it will work. Okay, thing is 100% is way too 100%. So when I write red, you can see this is 100%, but that is way too much. Just give it some height, but it should be fixed so that even if you use margin, it does not affect at all. I hope this is very much clear. Uh, okay, fine. This one is the 5. Thank you guys. Allah Hafiz.